It's just so much going on at once and I'm just like, okay, so what actually happened? But either way, all you need to know is that he cheated. Okay, that's all you need to know. All right, you guys, we are going to be diving into 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort. I finally got to watch episodes 1 through 4, and I have a lot of thoughts, okay? A lot of thoughts. So this show is actually supposed to be for the most troubled couples that we have seen throughout 90 Day Fiancé. I want to say history, but I don't feel like it goes back that far, but at least within the last couple of seasons over on 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, The Other Way, and just 90 Day Fiancé in general. But I gotta be honest, it's been rather interesting. But let's get to the premise of the show. So these really troubled couples are coming to a retreat. They come to this retreat on this island where I have no idea what country they're in. Okay, so I don't know. But they come to this tropical looking place, okay, and they stay at this resort. So that's probably why they call it the last resort. Play on words. They come to this retreat and they're going to be staying there for 2 weeks, and this is under the supervision of trained licensed therapists, and they participate in challenges to help with relationship building. So that's kind of my personal conclusion, my sum up of what was going on in this show. But the couples include Kalani and Asuelo, Ed and Liz, Jovi and Yara, Angela and Michael, and Molly and Kelly. Obviously, we already kind of know why Ed and Liz are probably on here, but I'm not gonna lie. If Michael is still in Nigeria, I'm trying to figure out why. Why is he there? He has to be on FaceTime anytime Angela is on screen. That's how he has to appear. And I just think this is just so dumb, but that's what they decide to do, more than likely because they know Angela is gonna bring the drama, and they want the drama because it wouldn't be 90 Day Fiancé without the drama. Okay, so Kalani's sister Kalini is on the island to help with the kids while they're there, but of course she doesn't really like Asuelo, literally from probably years ago at this point, when we actually see Asuelo and his family kind of clash, and obviously it's kind of flowing issues into his and Kalani's marriage. So Kalini is definitely not a fan of Asuelo, especially not after we find out what he did, but we're gonna get into that. So Kalani and Asuelo, they both end up cheating on each other. We find that out during a group therapy session when everybody tries to basically put all their secrets on the table. It was a secret that I didn't really need to hear, but it was probably necessary for us to understand why they're here. Besides, obviously, the other obvious issues. But they both are cheating on each other, and we find out that Kalani was still talking to the man that she cheated with, and she actually blames everything on Asuelo. Kalani had actually figured out that he had cheated because of his tongue. Believe it or not, his tongue was white, and we found out that he had a yeast infection. Yeah, and he said he had only kissed a girl, but we found out that he actually had sex with her and possibly got a little bit of a blowjob. I don't know. It's just so much going on at once, and I'm just like, okay, so what actually happened? But either way, all you need to know is that he cheated. Okay, that's all you need to know. So he decides after this, because now Kalani is heartbroken, he decides to give Kalani a hall pass to say, oh, you could go and kiss somebody also. But let's be real, Asuelo, you probably did more than just kiss somebody. Okay, you don't just get a yeast infection on your tongue by just kissing somebody, or maybe you can, I don't know, but I feel like he did something else on the side. But either way, he gives Kalani a hall pass to go and kiss someone, but Kalani does way more than kiss. Okay, honey, she does way more than that. All right, she decides she wants to go ahead and sleep with the man, and we find out that she's still talking to the man that she cheated on Asuelo with while she's at the resort. Okay, while she's in the show, she's still talking to this man. And she pretty much blames everything. If you listen to her, She obviously starts crying and getting emotional about obviously her cheating and all the feelings that came afterwards, because she's now attached to this man that she cheated with because she's still talking to him. I think that it's very interesting that she takes this time to pretty much blame Asuelo and say that it's your fault that we're in this situation. And I'm just kind of like, that's very interesting that you put all of that off on Asuelo and not take any accountability for what you did. You still decided to go out and cheat, okay, yourself in this situation. So I just think that's really wild for Kalani to do. Even though I like Kalani, I wasn't with her in that moment, because it was like, girl, you still decided to cheat. That's your body. He can't control your body. Like, what? So that was really wild. But after that revelation, we found out that information. The therapist had basically pointed out that there's an obvious lack of trust between them. And I'm like, no duh. You know, like these therapists, I'm not gonna lie, in some scenes, I don't know if it's the way that they edit the show or what, but they would say some things where it's just like, it's so obvious. But let's move on. So Ed and Liz are actually talking about moving to Arkansas, we find out, to live with Ed's family that lives there. But Liz is thinking about possibly leaving him if he doesn't fix the issues that she's been having with him. So that is pretty much their story coming into everything. And Molly talks to Angela about her issues with Kelly. She basically brings up the fact that he hasn't really been doing the manly things that she was expecting him to do. It does seem as though they're in a pretty interesting area in their relationship, if there even is one. I personally feel that after watching a whole 4 episodes of them plus at this point, because I am gonna probably talk about the other episodes in another video, but after watching all these episodes of Molly and Kelly, I honestly feel like Molly genuinely just doesn't like Kelly anymore. And I think she's having a struggle with herself internally, trying to figure out if she wants to let him go or not. But I really think she already knows the answer. You know, I really think they're just wasting each other's time at this point. I think she genuinely just needs to let Kelly go, because she knows good and well she does not like him like that anymore. But moving on, Yara admits to Jovi that she is still on birth control. This was after Jovi, I guess, had said that he wanted a child, and maybe they had discussed at some point having another child. So I guess he was just expecting her to come off the birth control, but she didn't tell him that she never got off the birth control. So yeah, but that came out, and shortly after Yara said it, Kalani decides to butt in, because we obviously know her story, all right, with her and Asuelo having 2 babies literally within like what, a year or 2 of each other. It's pretty nuts. And you could tell when she found that out, that was like heartbreaking for her, because she did not want to have another kid at that moment, but that's what happened, right? So Kalani decides to butt in, and she says she could do whatever she wants with her body.
Do whatever she wants with her body.
And don't get me wrong, yes, I agree with that. However, I find it very frustrating whenever I hear women say things like that and they're married. You are married to someone, so you definitely have to talk and communicate with your partner that you don't feel comfortable with having a child right now. And if they don't understand that, then oh well. But in that case, it would be your body, your choice, right? Because if you don't want to have a kid right now, you're still the one that has to birth that child, carry them for 9 months, then birth them. It's a lot. So I understand where Kalani's coming from, but I think it's a very selfish way of looking at it, because here you are making your husband think that you guys are trying for a child, but you're still on birth control. Why didn't you tell him that you just didn't really want to have a child right now and that you're on birth control? Why couldn't you share that with him? So Jovi clearly in this case is looking at Yara like, why couldn't you just be honest with me? Like, do you not trust me enough to understand where you're coming from? So yeah, it just really felt like that's something that she should have disclosed to him before they had even came to that island. But moving on to the next day, Jovi had to end up stepping in for Michael on a challenge with Angela, and they ended up winning the whole thing. But Ed becomes a point of tension, because you could clearly see that he was cheating, and Kelly calls him out for it, and Ed calls him the B word several times. In fact, he calls him a B. And Kelly's like, I really don't like you, Ed, but I'm going to try and give you the benefit of the doubt. But if you try me again and disrespect me again, it's on sight. So later on that day in the evening, after all the challenges are done with, Ed gets into the hot tub with his junk out, fully in the nude. He gets into the hot tub with Liz, and Liz is like, you can't do that. And Ed just proceeds to have a good time and have a ball in the hot tub nude, and he pretty much flashes Angela. Angela is just like, what are you doing? I did not need to see that. And if Angela of all people is gonna tell you like, I didn't want to see that, it's bad. But either way, everybody gets into the hot tub. Well, when I say everybody, it is Ed and Liz, Angela, and then Molly and Kelly end up joining soon after. So all of them are in the hot tub, and it's brought up again that Ed cheated during this challenge, and he'd also even admitted it at this point that he had cheated and that he felt bad about it because it was supposed to be a challenge where they communicated with each other, and he wasn't even listening to Liz because he was so busy trying to win and cheat to do it. You know, he admits that obviously it's a problem for him, that he's not really taking this seriously, and obviously everybody was just kind of like, you don't say. He admits that, but then Kelly brings up the fact that Ed was being disrespectful, calling him out of his name, and all because he had called him out for cheating, even though later on down the line he admitted that he had cheated. So it was really, really dumb. And he ends up calling Kelly the B word yet again, y'all. And Kelly's like, you know what, I'm not trying to start nothing, I'm not trying to put hands on you, so I'm just gonna leave this hot tub. So he gets up. Liz tries to ask him for a towel, and he's just like, nah, ask your man to do it. And I thought that was hella petty, but so honest, you know, because just like, nah, ask him. So Kelly and Molly leave, and now it's just Angela, Ed, and Liz. So Liz is trying to leave because now the situation is awkward, okay? The feelings have soured. So Angela, while all of this was going down between Ed and Kelly, decides to try and splash Ed with some of the hot tub water to get him to be quiet because he kept putting his foot in his mouth. During this time, she ends up splashing Liz in the face also, and it was getting in her eye. So she was already hella irritated with Angela, and it's very interesting how that escalates into Liz walking off and saying to Angela also that she feels as though she could never get a word in when Angela's around because Angela just keeps talking over everybody, which I agree with. Okay, Angela, we have seen for the last couple of seasons of 90 Day Fiance that she has been on, that she's always the loudest one in the room, always has to talk over everybody. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure why Michael's still sticking around. He has no visa, okay, yet. It's been years that they have been married at this point. I don't know why this man does not have a visa and why he's still in Nigeria. Angela, I feel hasn't even filed this paperwork yet, but we're gonna move on. But either way, you can never get a word in around Angela. Never. It's always her opinion and nobody else's that matters. Liz clearly states this, and Angela gets upset and she gets in Liz's face, and I don't really know how it escalated to that point, but she was all up in Liz's space. And you could definitely see if Angela wasn't as old as she was, she probably would have started fighting Liz. I'm going to be real. But yeah, it's just really awkward when Liz and Ed go back to the hotel room that Ed pretty much agrees with everything that went down, and he tries to play the victim, basically saying that Liz never backs him and that Angela had to be the one to step in and have his back. So he basically says that she had her booty, okay, because I can't say the other word that he said, but she had her butt handed to her basically by Angela. And I just think that's just such a crazy thing to say, considering that was your fiance. I don't know if they're still engaged, but that was his fiance at some point. So it's just really, really weird. And of course, he, you know, talks about how he was bullied all his life. And, you know, Angela was the only one that ever stuck up for him. And I'm like, go be with Angela then. Like, seriously, he's just really crazy that he has to bring that up. But it's like, okay, why couldn't you protect or back your own woman in this situation, even though you felt as though she didn't have your back with the cheating situation, which is crazy to me because it's just kind of like y'all are really arguing over nothing. So it was really dumb on Ed's part more so, but I really didn't understand Angela's reaction to that situation. But let's move on. So Kelly and Molly, like I said, they walked off from the hot tub. They have their own separate arguments, okay? Why? I don't know. But like I said already, I honestly feel Molly is just over Kelly. I really think that's what it is. And she's just finding ways to get under his skin because she doesn't like him. But Kelly says to Molly, he says, we fight, but I ain't gonna let nobody disrespect you. And Molly says, I don't agree with that. Molly says, I don't agree with that. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand why the heck she said that in that moment. I'm really confused, and she didn't really give any backing or evidence as to why she felt that way either. So like I said, it just really feels like she just finds reasons to pick fights and have arguments with Kelly. Like, I feel like you only do that when you don't like someone and you're just struggling with that fact. You know, I just think that she really needs to just admit that to herself. Later that night, we find out that Jovi had gone out for drinks with Angela after his little spat with Yara, more than likely about the birth control. So they come back to the room and they try to wake up Yara. And in the next episode, in episode 5, we see that Yara does come back and talk to Jovi about that, because she's just like, why is she trying to wake me up? And why is another woman basically in my bed with me? Like, what is happening? That was strange, but that ended up getting handled in the other episode. Now, one of the therapists came to talk to Angela about the whole blow up situation, because one thing I forgot to mention is that even after she got into Liz's face, she started cussing at her, calling her the B word, and it was just out of nowhere, right? One of the therapists that came to her to talk to her about everything, because, you know, when all of that happened, the staff from the hotel or resort had to get involved. So she says that Liz kind of reminded her, this was Angela speaking now, she said that Liz kind of reminded her of Michael in that moment, and it triggered her. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, it's just like, again, you gonna need to find a healthy way to deal with your issues and emotions. You can't just get into people's faces like that. But Ed and Liz try to hash things out, but Ed is a man child. Clearly, he never lets her talk. So Liz ends up walking away from the whole situation, and she speaks with her mom on the phone, and all her mom says is it's time to maybe give him the cold shoulder. I'm like, girl, you need to do more than the cold shoulder. You need to leave that man. Like, let's be real here. You need to leave him. Leave him. But she ends up coming back, and they have a little chat about trying to work things out and get on a better page with each other. But let's be real. They are not breaking up. They're not going to leave. Nothing's gonna really happen in terms of Liz actually trying to move on from Ed. Let's be real. I just think so far that it's just been kind of wild. Just the whole thing, this whole Last Resort show is hilarious to me, and it gets even funnier in these next couple of episodes. But I'll give you guys a recap of that in another video. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about these first couple of episodes down below in the comments. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.